Our paper's called A Design Diagnosis Reinvigorating the Primary Care Estate, and it's all about how the primary care estate can deliver the very best value for money. It's all about how exactly the 5-year forward view can be brought to life through using the NHS estates, GP practices in the very best way possible, and ensuring that the taxpayer is getting the very fairest deal.
So we originally started looking at the primary care estate as it is at the moment, and we found that actually much of the estate isn't able to deliver the vision set out in the 5-year forward view of more services delivered at a community level to people. Now this is because the estate is, say, often too small to do this or in a state of disrepair. So we go on to say that actually GP surgeries need to look at new funding options to deliver these new buildings. One funding option we specifically focus on is private sector investment. Now in primary care, this normally comes in the form of third-party development schemes. This is where a third party will build these new primary care estate buildings, and then GP surgeries will rent these buildings from the third-party developer. The really important thing to say here is GPs are responsible for the maintenance costs of these buildings, unlike, say, PFI deals that many people use in the acute sector. Early evidence shows that these 3PD schemes are already delivering value for money for the taxpayer. We visited one GP surgery which, before moving to a third-party development premises, had been located in this old Victorian building built over several different floors that wasn't able to meet government guidelines on disabled access. Once it had moved into this new modern premises, it was able to significantly increase its list size from 8,000 to 15,000 patients, and was able to offer lots of different services from this new large modern building, including an in-house pharmacy and a minor injury drop-in unit. Now, the important thing to stress here is that our paper doesn't say that private sector investment is the only way for GPs to upgrade their estate. There's lots of different options, for example, borrowing from local authorities or GP surgeries coming together into a large company and forming and borrowing funds through that. And actually, Greater Manchester are developing a new finance model where they are able to identify for GP practices the best funding option for them based on sort of local area factors. The NHS estate has been plagued in the past with underutilisation of its resources, and we argue in our paper that actually to get the best deal for the taxpayer, we need to make sure that these new primary care estates are utilised to the best of their ability. Now, this is both the responsibility of the developer of these buildings, but also of the occupiers, so the GPs. Now, what the developers can do is that they can build buildings that are most flexible, so include things like movable walls, so if the needs of the surgery change, they can redesign these buildings based on those, but also actually within rooms in the GP practices, make sure that these rooms aren't just, say, only able to be used for GPs having patients visit them, but actually could, say, be used for, I don't know, a therapy session or another type of purpose. On the GP side, they should look at how they could actually use their space better by renting it out to external stakeholders. For example, renting it out to a diagnostic clinic once a week or a pharmacy. And actually NHS Property Services have developed this new online portal, sort of similar to something like Airbnb, where GP surgeries can log on and put their sort of free space up on this portal and then rent out this free space to the wider community. Now, this is not only a good thing for the taxpayer, because it means that we're using our space most effectively, but also is good for GP surgeries because they can actually raise revenue through doing this.
Well, the Sustainability Transformation Partnerships are the main vehicle for delivering the 5-year forward view, and what we've identified in our research is that there's so much more in terms of both expertise and in terms of oversight that STPs could be doing. We would like to see them coordinate a lot more with CCGs at a local level to find out what parts of the estates can be better utilised and what can be better rationalised. This also means working with GP practices to make sure that they have the most up-to-date information on the finance options that are available and that work best for them in terms of expanding their practices so they can offer more services in-house. And also we did find during our research that some practices that had been engaging with the private sector actually realised that they didn't realise all the savings that they wanted to in terms of extortionate running costs. So it's also ensuring that these sort of deals that practices are agreeing to have get-out clauses and have mechanisms in place to make sure that the taxpayer has the very best value for money.